Hello and welcome back to the Trang Nova channel. Today we're talking about the 5 vocal foundations so that you can speak more engagingly and better connect with your audience. Now if we zoom out for a moment, the reason why we're talking about this is because so many coaches and entrepreneurs get really caught up in what they are saying. Like they're anxious before a talk or before a podcast or a sales meeting because they're scared they're going to mix up their words or they're going to go blank and forget to say something that they wanted to say. But studies have shown that it's not just the words that we say that are important, it's how we say it. In fact, a UCLA study has shown that only 7% of our message comes from our words. And 93% comes from how we say those words, particularly through our body language and our vocal delivery. Now, of course, this study isn't perfect and it has its limitations. This was in the context of emotional communication, like communicating what we like and what we don't like, and is not so relevant when it comes to conveying information and education. In particular, it's important to note that this study is really only relevant when there is a big mismatch between what you were saying and how you were saying it. Having said that though, that is happening all the time around us. How many times have you been on a sales call with a coach where they have tried to pitch you, but as soon as they did that on Zoom, they start to look away or they start to fidget? And even though they're talking about how good their program is and all their success stories, it's not really instilling confidence in what they have to offer, does it? Or have you ever had to introduce yourself to a stranger at a networking event, and even though you know who you are and what you do, you're feeling a bit nervous, so you're stuttering and there's a lot of ums and ahs and you have to really think what to say, so there's little gaps in the way that you're speaking. And that's probably not going to instill much confidence in who you're speaking to about who you are. So it's really important that you become aware of these 5 vocal foundations so that you can speak in a more engaging way and to connect with who you're speaking with. So the first vocal foundation is speaking speed. The speed of your speaking is the gaps between your words as well as within your words. Like all of these foundations, your speaking speed sits on a spectrum. So you can talk really slow, like the sloth from Zootopia, or you can speak really fast like this, and everything in between. Now you might be wondering, what's the perfect speed for my speaking? Well, I hate to break it to you, because like any of these foundations, including speaking speed, there is no one perfect speed. There is no perfect point of how you should be speaking. The key is in variation. Varying these foundations, varying your speed so that you can be engaging as well as elicit different emotions, create different emphases and meaning for different things that you are saying. So it's going to depend. But if I were to give you a number for the most ideal average speaking speed, I would say 160 words per minute, because of course you don't want to be talking too slow all the time and you don't want to be talking too fast all the time. So if you can average it at 160 words per minute, sometimes slow, sometimes fast in between, then that would be a great starting point. For example, here is a practical use of variation of your speaking speed. Sometimes if you're talking about something not that important, you can speed up, but then if you want to say something really important, this is where you slow down. And then you can pick back up to continue talking. So that right there was an example how you can vary your speaking speed within one sentence to emphasize a certain point. Now, foundation number 2 is the pause. I obviously paused there for dramatic effect and also to portray to you that a pause is simply a gap between your words and your sentences. Now, this is really important because as a speaker, whether you're speaking on social media, on your podcast, or in person, you need to be able to pause to catch your own breath. You don't want to be catching your breath in the middle of sentences. At the same time, it's going to be really helpful for your audience because anytime you share a point that they need to think about, that they need to process, you want to give them that chance to remember it, that chance for that point to land. So the ideal pause is going to vary. Once again, there is no ideal duration. It's going to depend. If you are talking about something that's not that important, that's not that heavy, you might have a 1 or 2 second pause. But if you are sharing an impact moment that is really dramatic, maybe it's really controversial, maybe it's really going to challenge your audience to think about things in a very different way than they've ever thought about things before, that will then call for a slightly longer pause, 2, 3, or even 4 seconds. So what I'd recommend for you is to have a pause right before an impact moment to create a little bit of suspense, and after an impact moment to let that point land. And then you can catch your breath as well. Now the third speaking foundation is your speaking melody. What's your melody? It is the pitch at which your sentences and your words come out. Sometimes it's going to be high, sometimes it's going to be low. The easiest way to think of your speaking melody is this. You know a piano? How there's the keys on the right that are very high, the keys on the left that are very low. Well, your voice is an instrument that has the entire spectrum of pitch that you can utilize. And it's really great because the way that you vary your pitch is the way that you engage your audience. It's the way that you can create certain meanings or emphases for different things that you are saying. Versus if you just start talking like this and you never vary your pitch and you continue like this for the rest of your days, then everyone's gonna get really bored and tune out. So the key is in varying our speaking melody. Like sometimes if I want to really come across as warm and inviting and friendly, I can go high pitch. Like, oh hey, how's your weekend? It's so good to see you. But then that's not going to really work if you're a university lecturer trying to share serious information or statistics. If you're doing that, then a good way to vary your pitch is to go lower, because this lower pitch is going to showcase more authority and is going to put people into a headspace of education and learning. The fourth speaking foundation is your speaking volume. Now this is a little bit more straightforward, so I don't think I need to explain too much what your volume is. It's essentially your speaking decibels, how loud or soft you are speaking. Now there is no ideal speaking volume. Of course, being at the extremes is not ideal. Like if you're talking like this all the time, or if you're talking like this all the time, it's not great. You need to adapt your speaking volume to the context of where you are speaking. You know, if you're working with someone one-on-one in a small meeting room versus if you are on Zoom versus if you are on stage to 1,000 people, you are going to need to adapt your speaking volume. But what you can also do is to adjust your speaking volume within a sentence, because that is going to emphasize certain parts of the sentence that you might want people to focus on more. For example, if you were speaking more loudly, you are going to convey that you are passionate and confident, and this is important. But at the same time, you can also play around with this, because another way to convey that something is important is you can drop your volume right down. And when you do this and you're almost whispering, does it make you feel like you need to lean in and pay attention even more? So there are many ways that you can vary your speaking volume to convey that something's important or to elicit different emotions. The fifth speaking foundation is speaking character. Now, character is interesting because it's kind of a combination of all the other foundations plus a few other things. Your speaking character is the emotion behind your words. It's how animated you are, the energy, your facial expressions of what you are saying. Think of character like this. It's the difference between an actor or an actress just reading the screenplay like this and they're just reading the words out loud versus acting out the screenplay. It is bringing the words to life. It is putting character and emotion into those words. And that is why we are often left sitting on the couch like crying over characters that don't even exist in a movie because it feels so real. There is emotion and depth to it. Let me share with you a clip now so that you can see a brilliant display of character.
Wingardium Leviosa. Stop. You're going to take someone's eye out. Besides, you're saying it wrong. It's Leviosa, not Leviosa.
So if you're like me and you are a millennial who's a die-hard Harry Potter fan, you will know that this is the famous Hermione Granger, who everyone kind of loved her but also maybe hated her a bit after this clip because of her sassiness, her attitude. But that's exactly the point. That is exactly her character. Versus her just reading out the screenplay, reading out the words and being like, stop. You're going to take out someone's eye. And plus, it's not Leviosa, it's Leviosa. Okay, let's recap now on the 5 foundations. Number 1 is speaking speed. 2 is pauses. 3 is melody, 4 is volume, and 5 is character. Now, these speaking foundations is exactly how you can speak in a more engaging way, how you can come across as more interesting and connect more deeply with who you are speaking with. Now, if you found this video to be really interesting, but you want more, like you want to understand these foundations more deeply, the intricacies of how to apply these foundations in different contexts in your business or on stages, and you want to not just learn the theory, but get to practice and get live feedback from a TEDx speaker and speaking coach, then I'd really encourage you to check the link in the video description where you can see more about my Voice for Impact online speaking bootcamp. It's a 6-week program. It's semi-private, where you'll not just learn about these foundations, but you'll learn about the other components of speaking, like body language, like how to reduce your filler words, storytelling, how to speak with confidence in front of a group, and then you'll have intimate coaching from me so that you can directly transform your speaking in just 6 weeks. I have had different types of business owners and entrepreneurs go through this bootcamp, and they have immediately transformed their speaking to speak on podcasts, to do interviews, to speak in front of groups and get a standing ovation. So if you are interested in that, then please see the link in the video description. Otherwise, for now, I hope that this video has been helpful for you. If you enjoyed this and want more, there's always going to be more. Every single week, we're coming up with a new video. So click subscribe, click like. It really helps me to get this out there more for more people. For now though, have a fabulous rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next video.